Truly wireless earbuds, but do they sound good? Let's find out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm listening to and looking at these. These, I'll open it up, are the Edifier TWS5 truly wireless earbuds. Yes, they're not true wireless earbuds like everyone else calls them. Edifier calls them truly wireless. So it's an important differentiation. They still go by, generally the TWS is known for the category, and that's just true wireless stereo. But these are actually pretty slick. Edifier generally does a good job anyway, but these are a nice addition to their line. Now, let me tell you, we'll start with the battery. So each of these earbuds has an 8-hour playback time. And then the case, this is a charging case, has 3 additional charges, giving you total of 32 hours of playback. That's really nice. Obviously, close it or open it. There's even little LED feedback on how charged the case is. And then when you look at the earbuds, then let's see, the earbuds will show you with a light whether they're charged or whether they're charging. So that's handy too. The earbuds themselves are IPX5 splash proof. The case, probably not. They don't really say. That's pretty typical for the industry. And the buds actually have touch controls, so you can't necessarily see even in the close-up, but the entire end of the earpiece is an actual touch button. So I put it in my ear. You want to generally sort of screw it around a little bit to get it to fit into your ear properly, and then I could just touch to get play or pause or whatever. Now, one of the really great features, okay, shh, it's chatting with me. One of the really great features is that when you put them in the case, you've automatically disconnected, which means when you take them out of the case, by the time you have them in your ear, then they're good to go and they're already connected with whatever you've paired. Now, obviously for the initial pairing, that's not going to prove to be true, but they're really easy to pair. They go automatically into pairing mode if they're not already paired. So easy. Now, super important, they support Bluetooth 5.0, which means that I have had 0 problems with them disconnecting from each other. They automatically pair. That's really good. And they support aptX, not AAC. So aptX is the audio system that Android phones use and curiously Apple Macs use. But AAC is what iPhones use. So if you're using these with an iPhone, they're going to sound really good, but they're going to actually sound a little better on an Android phone or if you connect them to your MacBook. So worth knowing. I expect that at some point Apple will finally knuckle down and say we're the only people doing AAC. Maybe we'll also support aptX. That would be nice, Apple. If you're listening, get with the program. Not really Apple's strong point, but so be it. Okay, so you can use them either one earbud at a time, which is really helpful if you're using a phone call or doing a phone call, right? Because this is pretty sort of mimicking the experience of you having a handset or frankly having your phone right up to your ear. So you can do it with one ear. You can be listening with both ears, take one out to charge it, listen with the other, and then when that one complains it's running low, switch them. All works seamlessly. In fact, you don't even have to pause and then play your music again. It just knows what to do. Really cool. And let's see, let's go through the box real quick because that's pretty interesting. So here is the box from Edifier, nicely done. Comes with a manual, and I just want to say this is like crazy small type. I don't know whether they were saving 1 or 2 cents on the deal here, but just Edifier, look. Here's the size of the manual. Here is the size of the box. The manual could be bigger and the text could be bigger, and then you wouldn't need a scanning electron microscope to read it. It's pretty darn small. But also in the box, let's see. So the primary section is for the earbuds and the case. We already have them. And then in the box, you get 2 very important things. You get the, what is this? This is a micro USB charging cable. You probably have tons of those, so we're not gonna worry about it. But yes, on the back of the case, there's a micro USB plug. Plug it in, charge it as needed. Does not come with an adapter. You probably don't need it because you can plug it into any of dozens that you have. It also comes with 3 sizes of what I call ear tips, but for reasons I can't explain, Edifier calls ear muffs. Very cute, but I think of an ear muff as something like this, not as this tiny little rubber thing that you put on the end of a wireless earbud piece, right? But be that as it may, as always with these, try different sizes to get the one that works best for your ear. it will make a huge difference, particularly in bass response. That is when you suddenly say, oh, this has really good bass, as opposed to this has no bass at all. So super important to know. Now, let me tell you, they have basically zero latency, which is great. So if you want to watch video on your device that you're connected to, it's going to look great, and the lips are going to be in sync with the voice, which is actually really important. You might not think latency is such a big deal, but when you experience a device that has latency and you're watching like your favorite show on Netflix or something, it's weird to have things out of sync, and it's going to distract you quite a bit. So these are low latency and they work great for that. And then the other question is, what about for phone calls, right? And the answer is that they actually have some CNC circuitry to help with phone calls, which is great because that means that you're going to hear them really well, the people on the other end, and they're going to hear you pretty well. There's circuitry to try to make your voice sound good. But let's be honest, if the microphone is here and you're speaking here, then it has a bit of a challenge. But, you know, if you just maybe increment your volume just a tiny bit on your conversation, you'll be fine. If you're in a really loud and noisy environment, these are not going to be your best friend. If you're at a nightclub and you're trying to talk to someone, step outside. It's okay. But for voice, they work perfectly well. You know, again, if you really want to do a lot of phone calls, you probably want something where the microphone's closer to your mouth. But these are certainly functional in that regard. Now, some people have complained that it doesn't get enough volume, particularly on their Android devices, and honestly, I don't know what they're talking about. I've tried this on both my Pixel and on my iPhone, and when I turn it up to 100% volume, I almost have to pull them out. They're so loud. So your mileage may vary. You might have something else going on with your settings, but the people that are complaining they don't get loud possibly have a little hearing loss issue that they might want to look into. So other than that, really all that's left to talk about is the sound itself and the price. So let's start with the sound. They sound really good. They have a real crispness, a real definition to the sound, which is very pleasant. And the highs aren't bright. So if you want to listen loud to, I don't know, like a drum solo or something, you know, when they hit the cymbal, you're not going to be cringing because it's so bright or anything. There's a richness, there's a fullness to the sound. I thought there was really good bass. I was listening to a variety of like EDM and electronic music and old synthesizer music and some jazz, and all of it just sounded really clean and crisp, and there was a nice bass line, and I could listen to, for example, the bass playing all the different notes as the song proceeded. So no complaints there. And in terms of the soundstage, and again, soundstage is, can you pick out where the musicians were standing when you close your eyes? These do a pretty decent job for little earbuds. I was pretty impressed. So all in all, nothing to complain about and a lot to really appreciate, particularly at the price point and particularly with this amazing battery life. Now, speaking of the price, that's the one piece we have left. But before we get there, I want to just again point out that, you know, when you put them in your ear, make sure you have the right size ear muff and that you actually turn them. You can see in this close-up, you know, this is the orientation that you want in your ear for maximum comfort. And I've worn these for hours and hours and hours listening to various music, or I listen to a lot of Sirius XM and Spotify. And I can just go for hours and just zone out and not even really think about my music source because they're that good and they're that comfortable. So that's definitely a real win. They are fairly big for your ears, but you know, unless you have super petite, tiny little ears or you're a child, then these I think are going to work just fine for you, which gets us to the price. But before we get to the price, I'm going to ask if you can subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate when you do that, and it's really helpful for me for you to give me some feedback. Is this review useful? What do you wish I would have covered that I didn't? And what did I talk about that you just don't care about? So, all good stuff. All right, let's get to the price. These are the Edifier TWS5 truly wireless earbuds, and they are priced at a very attractive $79.99 at Amazon.com. I'd say that's a pretty darn good price for earbuds of this quality. Just make sure the size of the earbud is going to work with your ears, and otherwise I think you'll be very happy with these. Definitely worth checking out. And with that, I'll catch you in my next video.